For more on Mexico's reaction to the Trump tariff threat, Kevin Seif, Latin America correspondent for the Washington Post, joins us now via Skype from Mexico City. So I want to just rewind back a little bit. I mean, it's not like Mexico hasn't been doing anything on this issue. Can you just tell us a little bit about what that country has done over the last few years to stem the flow of migrants over its borders?
Yeah, I mean, for several years, Mexico has been deporting large numbers of Central Americans. Those deportations continue today. Over the last 4 months, Mexico has deported more than 40,000 Central Americans. And under the current president, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, those policies have actually been sort of emboldened in a way, I think, in large part in response to the threats that we've seen from the Trump administration.
This morning, Mick Mulvaney said that, the first thing that he wants to see is Mexico strengthening security at its border with Guatemala.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that the Guatemala Mexico border is incredibly porous, has always been incredibly porous. And so I know the US, especially in the last few days, has spoken about the need to secure the Guatemala Mexico border. I mean, doing so would be a multi year, multi billion-dollar effort. As of now, there's very little infrastructure on that border.
Other things that have been mentioned are making Mexico a place where asylum seekers could apply for asylum there, or also cracking down on some of the smuggling and smugglers. What would those things look like?
The Trump administration basically, from the beginning, has proposed this idea Central Americans who are on their way through Mexico to apply for asylum in the US could instead apply for asylum in Mexico. I mean, there are a lot of problems with that proposal. One is that Mexico remains an enormously violent country. I mean, there are parts of Mexico that are as violent or more violent than the places that the migrants are fleeing in Central America. The other question is, what kind of social services could Mexico provide to asylum seekers? Is there enough funding here for asylum seekers to eat? Where would they live? There are a lot of questions about that. I would put security at the very top of that list, though.
The Trump administration also has plans to send DHS agents down to the Guatemala Mexico border.
Because the Trump administration has been pressuring not just Mexico, but also Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador to stop migration, there are conversations happening with Mexico right now, and that mostly is about the threat of tariffs. But there are also parallel conversations being had with the Central American countries. So in Guatemala, what that has led to is this agreement between DHS and the government of Guatemala to allow dozens of DHS agents to basically support, advise, train Guatemalan officials to stop migration to secure the country's northern border. These are agents that would mostly be there in a sort of advisory role. They wouldn't be patrolling the border necessarily. So it gives Guatemala the ability to say, like, listen, we are doing something. We are open to accepting your assistance. But in terms of what kind of a practical difference it's going to make, I mean, I don't think we're going to suddenly see a huge shift in the migration trends from Guatemala because of this. I mean, just a few weeks ago, President Trump directed the end of U.S. aid to Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. Right, so for a very long time, there was a consensus in the foreign policy establishment in the U.S. and pretty much everywhere in Latin America that U.S. assistance was something that could, in the long run, ultimately lead to a decrease in migration. Instead, the Trump administration's position has been we're going to stop aid, we're going to increase tariffs as punishment. I mean, most people who study migration, most economists would tell you that probably is going to have the opposite impact on migration as the intended one, but we'll see.
All right, Kevin Seif of the Washington Post, thank you so much for joining us.
Sure.